4. The joy of creation in Providence. One of the problems in the life of the Christian synagogue or church is the dualism between the pulpit and the classroom. Theology tends to be coldly abstract, so that the very thought of dealing with the joy of creation in Providence would impress most theologians as a homiletical subject for pulpit preaching rather than for systematic theology. It is apparently felt that joy has no place in their theologies. On the other hand, the pulpit has its own kind of abstractionism, in this case not rational, as with the theologians, but emotional. Too much preaching is full of sweet nothings, exhortations designed to promote the life of the institution, and an absence of systematic, biblical, theological exposition. Just as Neoplatonism divided the world wrongly between the spiritual and the material, so too many churchmen divide reality into a world of abstractions on the one hand and a world of feelings on the other. Supposedly the, quote, common man, end quote, is beyond the ability to grasp the rational and the intellectual, whereas the theological mind places itself as supposedly beyond the sway of the emotional and the partisan sweeps of feelings. But man, unless self-warped or culturally conditioned to a false self-evaluation, does not have two beings or two natures, but one. His emotional and intellectual grasp of things is not a divided thing, but is one form of cognition. Man's thinking and feeling are a unity, even under the layers of warping and false self-evaluation. A man's aptitudes, capability, or sterility are in evidence in all his being. Thus, to have a grasp of the meaning of providence is a matter not only of godly logic, but also of godly joy. If, for us, providence is only a matter of logical ideas, then joy too is a concept and no more. If, however, providence is for us the reality of God's total government, then our life in terms of that faith is one of joy. In Psalm 47, we have a beautiful, moving, and profound insight into the joy of creation in providence. O clap your hands, all ye people, or peoples, shout unto God with the voice of triumph. For the Lord Most High is terrible, or the Lord is most high and terrible. He is a great king over all the earth. He shall subdue, or subdueth, the people under us, and the nations under our feet. He shall choose, or chooseth, our inheritance for us, the excellency of Jacob whom he loved, or loveth. God is gone up with a shout, the Lord with the sound of a trumpet. Sing praises to God, sing praises. Sing praises unto our King, sing praises. For God is the King of all the earth. Sing ye praises with understanding. The Lord reigneth over the nations, or heathens. God sitteth upon the throne of his holiness. The prince of the people, or peoples, are gathered together, even, or to be, the people of the God of Abraham. For the shields of the earth belong unto God. He is greatly exalted. This psalm celebrates the absolute kingship of God over all the earth, over all nations. It refers generally to the conquest of Canaan and to the victories of God's people over the enemies of God. The inheritance of the covenant people is ordained and chosen by God, even as the judgment of all covenant breakers is of his choosing and determination. The Lord never stands idly by. He is the total determiner of all things, and he celebrates his victories on behalf of his people before all the world, in all the display of a conqueror subduing all enemies. God's people rejoice in all this, knowing that God is king over all peoples, and he shall, in his own time, subdue them all to his service and glory. The rulers and the peoples of the earth all belong unto the Lord as his creation and possession. In his providence, God proves himself to be the king of all the earth. As Leopold noted, whoever the mighty ones on the earth may be, here called rulers of the earth, they belong to God, are under his control, whether they know it or not, whether they acknowledge it or not. So all things are under his absolute dominion. Psalm 19 celebrates God's providence in creation. All of creation, including man and man's world, is under God's providence. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Psalm 19, verse 1. The way for man to realize the joy and peace of that providential majesty is by the law of the Lord, which is perfect, converting the soul. Psalm 19, verse 7. The modern humanists in and out of the church are often critical of the doctrine of providence. Why, they ask, does so much evil prevail in the world if God's government is so wise and good? Their question betrays them. Evil prevails not so much in the world around us as in man. It prevails in the world because the very ground is cursed for man's sake. Genesis chapter 3, verse 17, Leviticus chapter 26, verses 21 to 43, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 15 to 26, etc. But God's providence uses even man's greatest sin to redound to his glory and purpose. John chapter 11, verses 47 to 53. The humanists and the Christian here hold radically different positions. The humanist holds either to the natural goodness of man or else to his moral neutrality. The cause of evil is thus in forces outside of man or extraneous or unessential to him. Evil is thus either a stage on the road to maturity or else it is an environmental factor. For some, no evil at all exists. In this perspective, evil is outside of man, and therefore supremely in the great outsider, God. God is seen as the disturber of man's peace, and freedom from God is viewed as an essential step towards man's liberation. The Christian cannot agree with the humanist's assessment of man. For him, man in Adam is fallen and unregenerated, and therefore the source of sin and evil. We cannot, however, give the same priority to the doctrine of the fall which humanists give to their doctrine of man. First, man is not the ultimate, and second, the fall is not man's normal estate, but his deformation. Third, the humanist, depending on his particular line of reasoning, will say, on the one hand, that man's environment is basic and conditions man, and, on the other hand, that man is his own ultimate and Lord. Both perspectives are wrong and false. Man is responsible, but God is the ultimate determiner of all things, so that, as against the humanists' emphasis on man and the environment, ours must be on God and his providence. We cannot keep the argument in the realm of anthropology. Because God is the Lord, it is to the doctrine of God and his providence that we must turn to counter the humanistic emphasis on man, however man may be viewed. Thus, the doctrines of creation and providence make clear that the universe cannot be understood in terms of itself, and the same applies to man. It is a creation, and it is therefore the handiwork and revelation of its maker, the triune God. It is not only a created rather than a self-generated realm, but it is a governed rather than a self-governing realm. Hence, the joy of creation is providence. Creation moves in terms of an absolute and foreordained decree of predestination. It is neither haphazard nor purposeless, but determined and unerringly moves to God's ordained end and under his total direction. God is never the loser, nor are his covenant people, because of his providential ways. Romans chapter 8, verse 28. Hence, Paul can say, rejoice. Philippians chapter 4, verse 4. Nehemiah's word still stands. The joy of the Lord is your strength. Nehemiah chapter 8, verse 10.